Welcome to the Modern Watchman podcast, where faith meets the front lines of culture.
We break down what's happening in the world, what's behind it, and how believers can stand strong in truth.
We're not here to fear the times, we're here to understand them.
Because being watchmen means staying awake, staying ready, and staying grounded in the Word.
Let's get into it.
Welcome to the Modern Watchman podcast.
With Tom and Wendy. Yes.
Here I am.
Hello. Happy Black Friday. Happy Thanksgiving. Happy Small Business Saturday. Happy Monday, Cyber Monday. Happy Tuesday travel.
I have a question. In all of the woke years,
In all of the woke years. Okay.
how did nobody did we miss Black Friday? Or did Black Friday get reconsidered?
No. There's a White Wednesday. That one would have been attacked first, I feel.
Well, I've never heard of White Wednesday
You've
until
never
right
heard of
now.
it? I feel like, did I just make it up right now?
Well, isn't Thanksgiving kind of like White Man Thursday? Isn't that like the whole
Man Thursday?
like stolen land and blah blah blah. But I'm surprised that nobody in all the
Has gotten mad
ridiculous
about Black
that no
Friday.
one got mad about.
Thank you.
That's bothering me. There we go. That no one got mad about Black Friday. I just feel like we got mad about less. We got mad about the Washington Redskins. Is it worse this way now? Did it literally?
Something's wrong with our...
What's happening?
I think the ring is sitting crooked.
Oh, that's what it is.
Yeah.
So it's like the
We're having camera angle
it's like
issues
the
for
Santa
those of
Cruz
you
mystery
listening.
house in here, or mystery spot.
Where we're sitting upright, but we're not.
Believe it or not, water would drain that way. We're upside down right now.
Oh my gosh, we're hanging out
Imagine
upside
that.
down on the ceiling.
How'd you get your braid to not?
My pony to lay flat.
Your pony to lay
It's
flat.
wire. It's an illusion.
wire. Okay.
It's AI. You don't even know if we're real.
Yeah, we're
You
not.
can't even confirm if this podcast is being recorded right now or not.
You're recorded right now or not?
Could be being manufactured.
I
don't
we
know.
should touch on the AI thing that we're talking about. Just that conversation. Obviously, it's a conversation many people are having, but I think it's important that we continue to have it. Of just
So the conversation he's speaking of, as if you were there in our car having the conversation with us, is the question of whether or not you will, or I guess, when will you not be able to detect AI? The reason the conversation came up is, and this is related to what we want to talk about today, so it's going to work out. The National Guardsmen that were shot, was that Wednesday already that happened?
Yeah, I think so.
2 National Guardsmen shot in D.C. on Wednesday by originally reported just an Afghan national. That was the original report. There's more to the story, as there always is. We'll get there. So originally, this Afghan national's photograph was put out there, and for whatever reason, it was manipulated by AI and then shared out. So one of the first manipulated images was making him look like a white guy. Is that fair to say?
Whiter, whatever you want to say.
Yes, it had been manipulated where it was like you couldn't tell his ethnicity.
That's
from the
probably
photograph.
because it was White Wednesday.
I think White
That
Wednesday,
could
I
have
think,
been,
is a thing.
traditionally,
I can't really
terrorists
think of,
are whitened on White Wednesday. I think that's where that
I can't think of what White Wednesday would be about, but I really feel like it exists.
You feel like it exists.
See?
You opened up this potentially harmful racism can of worms on our podcast.
Okay, she has a lot of feelings, and nobody holds them against her. She can
Now
say
that you
her
said
feelings.
you feel like it exists, I feel like it definitely didn't.
Well,
I'd never heard of White Wednesday in my life. That actually sounds racist.
Okay, then I might have made it up.
Well, that's weird that you'd be making up racist holidays. That says a lot about you, I feel like, and I'm concerned.
Can you chat GPT it while I lay down more
I'm
of this
afraid
premise?
I have to put that into my chat GPT.
Yeah.
It's going to learn that I'm into racist white holidays.
We're talking about AI and whiter terrorists. I think it's only appropriate. Our phone's already listening, and they already know we're
we already hang out with each other, which is
racist holidays out of thin air. Searching for a concept.
I think it would pop right up. I think Wendy just made up. There is no widely recognized holiday or official So they're literally like, we've overheard Wendycunningham talking about it, but it's not.
She could be celebrating it.
Oh, there's Wit Wednesday. Oh, that's not.
I just made
Oh, the wit
it up.
comes from white, originally referencing white garments worn by the newly baptized. I don't think that's what you're thinking about.
No, I just completely made it up, and I felt right about it.
Just the White Wednesday
I just
felt
want to
right.
say this was just an exercise in exactly what's happening with Candace Owens.
A quick
That's
announcement.
why I did that. That was just a complete exercise to see.
Quick announcement to American
if you
retailers.
would go with my feeling.
We're offering you this exclusive opportunity to adopt White Wednesday.
It's gonna be great
Black
for marketing.
Friday, White Wednesday.
There's no way it's gonna backfire. It's gonna be great. Adopt it. You can have it. I won't even trademark it. It's yours if you want it.
What are the like what
what could happen?
Characteristics of a White Wednesday?
I'm afraid to speculate.
I have all the answers in my head and not the will to say
That's
them.
why I knew it was wrong, because
I knew it was wrong too.
started to think what could possibly be happening on White Wednesday, and I was like, I don't think anything could happen on White Wednesday.
I think you're right.
But did you know there was a Travel Tuesday? Because I just learned about that.
At this point, can we even trust?
Somebody said it. I didn't make that up. That wasn't me coming up with it in my clear blue sky. It was told to me.
I think it's coming up in your chemtrail sky. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
That's
making
the
you think
problem.
thoughts. Anyway, that was a worthy tangent.
That was worthy.
A little
I agree.
insight
I think
into-
it's relevant. Okay, so on White Wednesday, the Afghan national was turned a little more white by AI, and it circulated. And the thing that was being put forth was the media outlets didn't even realize that the image that they were circulating had been manipulated by AI. So the question that Tom and Wendy then had is, so obviously there's a mechanism to decipher somehow that this has been AI generated. I know
Manipulated,
yeah, or generated. I know that like for teachers now, there's some way of identifying. Actually, I think there's an AI that identifies when an essay has been written by AI. Like you can take this essay and pop it into an AI for a teacher, and that AI can tell the teacher if that essay has been generated by AI or not. I have no idea how this works, but this is a mechanism now.
That's
that teachers have
fascinating
to
that
have.
like AI is like legitimizing itself.
It's
with
such
itself.
a slippery slope of doom.
Bizarre.
But we were talking about, okay, when does that mechanism become hidden? Like, when is it that you will not be able to tell from assumedly, is that a word?
Sure.
Assumedly.
As much as White Wednesday is a holiday at the very least, so.
I came up with a word on the walk earlier.
I mean, you come up with a word every time I'm in the car with you.
Obliviate is what I said. And then I was like, I think it's obliterate, not obliviate. I think obliviate.
Obliviate is when you had no idea you obliterated something. It just happened. It's like you obliviously obliterated something. You obliviated it.
Spell.
Yeah, it's JK. You should license some things to JK Rowling because all those made up words are hard to come up with. But
that's excellent.
You had no idea that you utterly destroyed
on fire
something.
Today is what's happening. I'm just creating language and holidays on the fly. Who else do you know that can do that?
AI. That's it.
AI.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
More.
Maybe I am.
I
AI.
know. It's making me wonder.
If you don't know, who could know? Right.
AI.
Okay. So there is assumedly a way to, on the backside of coding is where I assume the backside is, right? Like I think of the backside as like the matrix side,
You
where
turn over the code.
there's lots of
underneath
numbers
it.
happening behind the video that's telling the video to be a video, right? You can see in there somehow that the video has been manipulated. Okay? The code tells you, right? I feel. And so
We should probably look into that.
we should look into that. Some way there's a way of knowing that something has been manipulated by AI right now today. There is a way of knowing. Now, I don't know what that way is, but I know it exists. The question, we haven't even gotten to the thing. The thing that Tom and I were talking about is, when does that go away? Like, when is AI completely hidden Like, you cannot tell. There's no signature of AI anywhere that you could discover on a video. How long do you guys think that will fly before all video evidence will be inadmissible? And again, the premise being, we talked about like Epstein. And the reason why Epstein is no longer necessary is because there's no longer the need for a honeypot, so to speak. Like, we don't need an Epstein-like character to lure.
We never needed one.
Yes,
but
we
the powers
people,
that
we
be,
the humans that exist that are evil on
the
Earth.
Israelis in the deep state.
Okay, let's say they don't need him anymore to lure, let's say, a Thomas Massey to an island. They can just create a video of Thomas Massey doing any old thing they want him to be doing to be incriminating, and use that video to blackmail him.
Like
right?
they did to Julian Assange, kind of, or
Sure.
something like that. Yeah.
Exactly. So right now, if that were to happen, Thomas Massey could pretty confidently say, that is not a real video. And he could probably expose it as being blackmail or AI manipulated, because that exists, right? Like, you can tell somehow that things are manipulated by AI. I don't know if you could tell. I'm sure you can still tell that something is entirely generated by AI, not even just manipulated.
Well, what I think is that I think we're getting this stuff to some degree released to us. Like, I think they already have
the ability,
and I think we will probably never receive in the general population that full ability. But basically what you're
the full
trying to
ability
get
to
at,
do what?
to create an AI video with no evidence,
With no mark.
that it was created by AI. And they would be able to, like, take you theoretically
And put you in a
make
video.
you shoplift something on video, or whatever.
And no one would ever be able to see that it's AI.
Right.
Okay.
And basically frame people. Now, I don't think they're going to frame most of us. You know what I mean? Like, that's not important. But what historically speaking, we understand that entrapping people in order to blackmail them has been utilized extensively to capture politicians, powerful people, scientists, whatever, and manipulate them. So in a theory I heard, I believe, actually, I want to say it was Whitney Webb was talking about this. I'm a big fan of Whitney Webb. Nation Under Blackmail, I believe, is her book. But is that right? I'll check in a second. But either way, how Jeffrey Epstein was going to go away, like that operation was getting closed down, not because it wasn't effective, not because they were going to get caught, but because they could do what they wanted to accomplish with that
Without it.
through AI.
Without the person actually committing a crime.
Without anything. Because
it used to be they had to get the guy to commit the crime, videotape him committing the crime, then they could blackmail him. They no longer have to do that.
And now they can just generate it. And in most cases, I mean, think about this. The accusation
is the punishment
of pedophilia
discredits.
You're done. You know what I mean? Like, we all know this. Like, that's like the ugliest thing you can be marred with. Well, here's the thing. It's the ugliest thing you can be. So therefore, even the notion of being affiliated with it, even if you are 110% innocent, will destroy pretty much anybody. And I mean, and again, I don't know if like people are innocent or guilty sometimes, right? But we kind of all assume, we kind of all are like, oh, and it would be no different if a congressperson, even just the accusation. So you put the video out, you can stand there screaming from the top of your lungs that it's fake, it's AI. You're like, be real. Would you stand by your congressman and say, no, he didn't do it. I love that guy. Would you stand up and say that's not real for him? Or would you be like, oh, I don't know, that sounds pretty bad. There's a video that shows him doing it. It's pretty bad.
This is the discussion. I do think that we do have to go through that period of time where they're able to pull the wool over all of our eyes, and we will believe the videos that are completely false. There will be that time, And I think we're getting close to that time.
I mean, right now, and you had brought up a point that like, so there's these videos out there that people are falling for, and I'm not saying, I mean, maybe I've fallen for one, I don't know, but like where it's an AI video, it's like a man wrestling naked with a silverback gorilla, and like the man's winning or something.
What videos are you watching? Don't try to say I said that. I never saw a naked man wrestling a gorilla, okay?
Or like a man riding a shark through a wave and it looks super real. Or there's all these like trip and fall AI videos right now, you know, like all this different stuff. And like obviously some due to the context, like I'm pretty sure that man didn't really ride a shark, but we're seeing all these out there. And honest to goodness, people are falling for it right now. Like people are sharing that stuff.
For sure.
Not necessarily realizing that it's AI.
Absolutely.
And honestly, I think that is like
the precursor.
I think it's kind of a test. I think that stuff is
how much can we get?
How gullible, where is the population at in understanding? And I think
I also want you all to know that Tom thinks men wearing skinny jeans was also a test to see.
I do. Yes, that's true. I don't know if we want to go down into that tangent, but the psychological operations against the populace.
Masculinity.
Well, look, men were under attack during that period of time.
We
were destroying men
100%.
for 20 years, maybe longer, but like there was a really serious period of time. And it is no coincidence
that during that time,
Screamo and Tight Pants occurred in that same time.
What is Screamo?
It's like music that makes guys effeminate, in my opinion.
Screamo? Can you give me more information about that?
I don't know. It's like Panic at the Disco and these kind of things, and like
that's Screamo.
I mean, it's no. So many people who are really into it would be like, "That's not Screamo," but like all the stuff.
Voice.
Hey, if your bangs were like this, okay, and you had skinny jeans on.
Okay, for those listening on podcast,
my fingers
are across his whole face.
Across my whole face, from the top to the bottom. If you wore skinny jeans and your hair was down below your nostrils, and
you were emo. Tom, your hair was down below your nostrils.
No, it wasn't. But that was also 2005. Totally different. That was Led Zeppelin.
Obviously different.
And Pink Floyd.
You were very cool with your very long hair.
I will say Led Zeppelin and Pink Floyd, they did wear tight pants too. But,
they did. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But so it started earlier than I thought. Those men are not thought of as not masculine, ironically.
I know it is ironic because a lot of those big-haired 80s bands were
big-haired 80s bands.
You know what I'm talking about? They had like mascara and eyeliner on.
I'm glad you brought up 80s music. I'm going to say that's where it started. Because 80s music is of the devil.
Want to hurt me? It's of the devil?
Oh, pretty much all of it. Anything with like synthesized keys was pretty like...
That's like all worship music now is synthesized keys. You better watch out. You better
Well, there's some people out there screaming at their car radios that's of the devil. Okay. But that's a discussion for another day.
Apparently so. We are all over today.
We are all over.
We are enjoying our turfirkin.
Our turfirkin. You're saying that on the AI thing that we will like catch, like we're going to go through a period of time.
We have to go through a time of deceit as a new term.
We'll be deceived by AI.
Yes, comes into play. But then there has to be, they're already talking about, this has been going on for at least a year. There's already discussion of how we're going to hit a place pretty quickly where video and photographic images will not be admissible evidence in court because of the prevalence of AI, because of the prevalence of manipulating video and content. And I think we're going to get there quick because we are going to see so many people be deceived by it that it's not going to be admissible.
Let me throw a hypothesis out there. I think you're right. I think that is correct. Mm-hmm. I think the perfect AI so like some of the things that you look for in a manipulated video or image is like blurs around the edges of the areas that were manipulated, kind of glitchy, basically like visual glitches, which are obviously getting better and better. Mm-hmm. And then there's also things like you were saying in the more like metadata in the data of the file of whether or not, and a lot of it is whether or not the correct data is there. Is the location data correct? Is the just basically the the data that's attached to the capture of that video, for example, does it align with everything that it should? And so it's like kind of two parts. What does it look like? Does that look manipulated? And also is like on the back side of things, like you said in the coding, is it manipulated?
So that was our discussion, was right now there is a way to determine on the backside if it is manipulated. I believe that as AI improves, there will be an equal and opposite, as long as free markets and capitalism exists, demand for the counter to AI. Like, as good as AI gets, there's going to need to be better and better AI detectors. You know what I mean? For this exact scenario, because we're going to want to continue to protect video evidence, photographic evidence in court specifically and elsewhere. What are you smirking about?
You made me think of manipulate time.
I know, I already said that under my breath once, okay? That there's going to be an equal and opposite demand for the detection. So I think those things will continue to balance out. However, there will be a time where new technology advances faster than the detection is able to catch up to. And I don't know how long of a period of time that's going to be. But to your point, I believe that the enemy meaning both natural and supernatural, one being directed by the supernatural, always overplays his hand. And if they, them, can get away with accusing a congressman or somebody prominent once and it works because nobody stands up for him, it's like the boy who cried wolf. It's like you're going to see.
You can't accuse all the congressmen and all
everybody.
the time.
It's not going to work on everybody.
Right.
And if when the fifth congressman is like, I am telling you, this is AI, and now this is a pattern of people saying it's AI. Even if they can't prove that it's AI, it's gonna start to become suspicious, and people are gonna be like, I don't know,
See,
it could be AI.
I think you're right. I'm not arguing that point, but I think the way it plays out, I feel like that is a little bit naive in the sense that, first off, all this is predicated on a threat. Blackmail is predicated on a threat.
Yeah.
So most, any one of these people who's blackmailed by Epstein could have come out and been like, there's people blackmailing.
No. In the scenario that includes Epstein, these people did do the thing they're being blackmailed of. They did do it.
So
they know
someone
they
can
did
come
it.
out, and my point is that people are always afraid of having to deal with that.
Of
so
course.
they might be like, I didn't do it. And the other person's like, well, we're going to release this stuff if you don't. And whether or not you did it, your life's going to...
Whether or not you did it is irrelevant.
No, I know it's relevant, but...
It's relevant to the person.
It's sure, but what I am saying is this is what I'm saying, is that it will work for a long time because the first person, they're going to deny it. And maybe some people will believe them, maybe some won't, but they will go through the hell of it all occurring.
Of course.
And possibly go to prison for whatever, be able to be tried for it. The AI is so good.
Here's what we have seen so far is that when someone is accused of it, sometimes they deny it. Most of the time they resign, they kind of fade away, right? I mean, people don't typically go, I didn't do it and I'm not resigning and I bring it at me. Come on. People don't do that.
But they'll run that person through the machine.
Of course they will.
Right?
I'm not saying the consequences won't be there. I'm just saying you are much more likely to stand firm and hold to the truth when you know for sure you didn't do the thing.
What I'm saying is, I'm not saying that person shouldn't stand firm and hold to the truth. But what I'm saying is,
we don't see that yet.
A bunch of the people that they approach and they say, if you don't get in line, we're going to release this, are going to go, oh my gosh, that would be hell for me. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, no, of course.
I'm gonna play along. So my point is that it's still going to be very effective for a lot of the people. And again, it's like, hey, it's always like, hey, do you want to go through hell or go to prison for the rest of your life and be, or do you just want to do this one thing for us?
I don't know.
I'm telling you.
I don't know. I think that there is a very big difference between knowing you did do the crime and there is video image of you doing the actual crime and knowing you absolutely didn't and trusting that your character will speak for you. I mean, I feel like that makes a big difference.
Well, Julian Assange is a great example. And
he is a great example because he's somebody that's like, has maintained his innocence and is still living the consequences of it, but has never backed down from the truth. He didn't just go along to get along. He didn't just say, okay, I won't do this or I'll stop doing this or whatever, because he knew that they were coming out against him. And for context, why don't you give people the story of Julian Assange?
Well, and actually, that actually makes me think that the whole Julian Assange thing is actually making me go, you know what? Before AI, they put child porn on your computer. That was basic. They've basically been doing this
or they
to
just
people.
said that they
no.
it or found it.
Well, and that's so here's the thing. And this is so with Julian Assange outside of
Julian Assange.
Let me pull up just a quick timeline for him. But Julian Assange was like the leader of, I believe, WikiLeaks.
Yes, he was the leader of WikiLeaks, if you recall that. When would that have been? Gosh, the early 2000s?
He's been through the early 2000s for sure. All right, so
founding of WikiLeaks, 2006.
Yeah, 2006, he founded WikiLeaks, which is basically a secure Dropbox for like whistleblowers to put files into, primarily like in the government, but it can be corporate too. Like, oh, hey, you know, Nestle is like
it was kind of a precursor to Project Veritas in a lot of ways, like an undercover,
kind of like a digital,
exposing.
And this big moment was in 2010 when they published a series of leaks from an Army intelligence analyst regarding a U.S. helicopter strike that killed civilians that was covered up by the military. And that kind of like put them on the map. But there's been a bunch of...
And was that when he had to flee?
I don't know if it was shortly, but yeah. So in 2010, following the leak, so basically all this WikiLeaks leaks a bunch of this stuff that embarrasses the American government. And then all of a sudden...
And it protects the leakers. Like you can't determine who the person is that's uploading the documents.
All of a sudden, authorities want to question him for sexual assault allegations. And he didn't want to be handed over to the United States because it was the United States that came up with these allegations, right?
Where was he?
He was in Sweden. So then he
Isn't
fled.
He an American citizen?
No, I don't know if he is or not. So he was in Sweden, then he fled to the Ecuadorian embassy. Then he was granted political asylum in London in 2012. He lived there until 2019. And then
his asylum was revoked.
His asylum was revoked in 2019, and British police arrested him for failing to appear in court.
Yeah, you can't go to an ally.
The U.S. had
an enemy of the U.S.
The U.S. had filed a sealed indictment charging him with conspiring to obtain and disclose classified defense information.
Indictment.
Well, indictment, sure. Okay,
indictment.
That's fine. And so they basically charged him with 18 charges regarding basically it's classified information kind of thing. Now, again, I mean, I get where they're coming from, and that you're like, hey, if you have anything you want to put in here, go for it. It's interesting though, because like what did come from that was legitimate. Like it did uncover.
Nobody denied the validity of the documents.
We live, I feel like in our nation, there's like, we live in a justice system. Like we are supposed to operate. We're a nation of law and order. Like there should be a mechanism for when our government or a agency in our government or even an individual in our government bends the rules or breaks the rules, whether that's an individual or an entire agency, that it should be allowed to be exposed.
Yeah.
And the justice system that applies should be
Hypothetically,
applied.
it is allowed to be exposed.
Well, and that's where,
unless it's true and embarrassing, then it's not allowed.
And again, Julian Assange, Edward Snowden fall into this category where nothing they didn't, again, like they didn't give classified information to an enemy of our nation. That's treason.
Right.
That, that's a crime, right?
They exposed the lies the government was telling.
They exposed the crimes that our own government committed against our own people.
Yes.
And that we should kind of all agree.
We should welcome that.
That should be a welcome. And if you create a mechanism outside of the government to do that, then more power to you. Julian Assange, as far as I'm concerned, I'm not an expert on him. He's a hero. Edward Snowden, I know a little bit more about him than I do with Julian Assange. His head should be on Mount Rushmore. Like there should be a statue of him in Washington, D.C. Edward Snowden is a national hero. Instead, they would have him killed. Yeah.
And we don't know the difference. So all that to say, I guess the first half of this episode is to inform the audience that we have to be cautious when moving forward, allegations that are thrown around have to be taken with caution. And again, that sucks because a lot of them are going to be true.
Well, no, honestly,
if someone is doing, go ahead.
Our government, this is what, in my opinion, this is what we take from this. Our government and our system is so corrupt at this point in history that here's what we know. We know about Edward Snowden and Julian Assange. They tried to expose the crimes committed against Americans, against American law, and were vilified for it. And nobody was held responsible for the things that were revealed, did occur.
And nobody stood up for these men that have been vilified.
And we also see sort of the other side of the coin of fundamentally the system has been protecting
the criminals.
The Epstein list, right? Like, is that not what's happened?
Absolutely.
Didn't the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, say that if this were to be released,
it's a matter of national
security.
Security.
It would be a matter of national security. So the system is so corrupt. It is
evil.
Attacking those who would speak the truth. And Charlie Kirk, he may have been killed for speaking the truth, being a threat to that system. So we've got Julian Assange, Charlie Kirk, Edward Snowden being attacked and possibly killed over these things. And then you have like the Epstein list being protected, and then, down to our friend, we just had an episode about it.
Yeah.
Cade Cawthorn and Glenn Cassida, who were given pardons, thank God, thank Trump and thank God for, and the case being literally wiped off the DOJ's vacated, being wiped off the DOJ's books because it was so clearly
a political vendetta. No evidence.
And it was fabricated. It wasn't even like, so my point is that I said this in one of the earliest episodes we discussed Cade's case in, of like, I'm at a point where when the system indicts somebody, I lean towards, let me say this. When the system indicts somebody that's a truth teller, that's an exposer of the corruption, I inherently go,
it should validate the information they're exposing.
Well, and that's one element of it. So it basically validates what they are saying and exposing. And at the same time, I go, I don't know that they're innocent by like eyewitness account, but by the history and knowledge that I have of how the system works, the process is the punishment, is that they're probably innocent.
Like if someone is telling something about the government and then all of a sudden they have child porn on their computer, I tend to think they were telling the truth from the get-go, and not the opposite.
And I'm going to go so far as to say where we need to retrain our minds is that thank God we're people that are repulsed by someone who would have
Yes.
child porn on their computer. Don't get me wrong, 100%. And then at the same time, but we have to retrain our minds that we are being manipulated when that happens, because they know that we have such a strong sense of justice in us about that. They're manipulating that sense of justice to relabel and malign that person in our mind. I don't care who's Julian Assange? He's a pedophile or whatever, or he's a rapist. That's what they want to rebrand in your mind, that no, he's not the truth teller
Just
that
like
exposed
Charlie
their
Kirk
lies.
is a racist, just like everyone that was at January 6th is an insurrectionist. I mean, literally, this works every
On small scales
single
and big
time.
scales,
There are
yeah.
people who have known me my entire life that to this day think I am an insurrectionist, criminal, racist because I was present in DC on January 6th. Not because I was ever even accused of a crime. That's not it. It's the rhetoric, it's the emotional manipulation that makes them, these are people who know me personally. It makes them override what they know to be true in their own personal experience of knowing me and the history of our decades-long relationship. It makes them override even that to go, I thought I knew them, but it turns out I didn't. Wild. It's wild. So we've seen it very much firsthand.
But yeah, that is one of the things that I want to make an impact with in this podcast, is like people
Helping people discern.
discern through the manipulation of the system, right? And that's a big one. The heroes of the people will always be
Accused of child pornography.
I was going to say, maligned in every way. There's, but you're right. That's basically what it'll come down to, is in the future, there will be AI generated videos produced of them doing horrible things. And watch out, we're going to find out that Thomas Massey is,
Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Here's the funny thing is that, like, I wouldn't even be surprised if, like, before we get any of the Epstein, like, full list, it's like, is that something isn't released on Thomas Massey. We get a video of Thomas Massey doing something bad before we get a video of Chuck Schumer or whoever. I don't care. There's 100 of them plus on the list, I'm sure, if not hundreds. But bringing it back to the Afghan national. So we were talking about how it's interesting that photo was.
Welcome
this was
to our world, by the way. This is like how.
This is just like a day in the ride to Kroger to go to the
this is what it's
grocery
like
store
to
for
be
Wendy and I.
In our marriage.
In our marriage. But anyhow, we were talking about how the journalists kind of admitted, like, this is all kind of, it's been a story, you might have heard about it, how some of these images were manipulated. And I want to be clear, not the one was manipulated to possibly make him look whiter. That's true. But some of the other two that I saw that were verified to be manipulated, they just kind of like cleaned them up a little. They didn't do any. I don't even know why. Like,
well, the image was a little bit blurry.
It was pixelated.
So they were bringing
You're
it
right.
into sharper
and
focus.
so they sharpened it up.
They
That's
also
true.
showed, though, in the same.
They sharpened it up, and it turned into be like Thomas Massey.
Which is what's so funny, though, because they also showed different AI manipulated images of Tyler Robinson. Is it Robinson? Robertson? I can't remember.
I think it's Robinson.
Robinson.
But that is the Charlie Kirk shooter.
The Charlie
just to be
Kirk
clear.
shooter.
Allegedly.
And each image looked like a different person. It was the same photo that had been sharpened into focus, but each time it had been sharpened into focus, it looked like a little bit of a different person. Like, if I looked at all three of those images separately, I wouldn't think they were of the same person, if that makes sense. So, to your point, it also is making that person just a little less recognizable, right? If you put a face out and everybody is looking for this face, but it's slightly manipulated from the true face, then now people are going to be accusing people that aren't even the guy, because it looks more like the guy. It looks more like your friend, your son, your neighbor than it does like the actual photograph of the person, because it's been manipulated. Okay. So again, this is where.
Well, or you can even you could even have a situation where in these bizarre, Charlie Kirk shooting events, these occasional rare but very impactful kind of patsy moments, I mean, you could have someone do a professional hit and then AI in the patsy.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Put his face on the guy running away.
Whatever. Or yeah, I mean, to the degree, there's a lot of different ways you could do it. I mean, but my point is like, this is only going to be fuel.
Let me tell you.
For these types of challenging moments when we're trying to discern what the heck happened
this
here.
weekend, Thanksgiving. Okay. My daughter, who's 14, taught me how to eliminate my forehead wrinkles from a picture. Okay. That's manipulation of my face, first of all. And also, my sister told me how to eliminate entire people out of photographs. Like, she told me that all of her pictures of her at these national parks that she's been to all this time, I was like, wow, there's like nobody ever in your picture, you know? And she's like, oh yeah, I took them out. She took the people out of the photograph. And of course you can take people and put them in photographs, because I did that to make the, whatever they call it, thumbnails for our other vlog. I would make a sticker of our family and I would input us into a different photograph. So that's accessible by my 14-year-old daughter to do. Okay.
We sound so old right now.
But I'm saying,
all
if there was
like,
another guy up there with Tyler, let's say, some sort of handler, that person is very basic, easily removed from the frame. That is so minimal ability. Do you know what I mean? There could have been another person there with him that is just completely eliminated from the video. And now Tyler is doing it, and he is the only one in the frame. There's so many ways this could be manipulated, frankly. And
well, I guess
have a lot of questions.
the main thing to kind of like cover or just summarize it all is that like we are entering in, if not already living in, a period of time where you just cannot believe what you see with your own eyes, right? And
unless you're actually seeing it in real life.
Everything that we take in, everything we take in, we need to have that in the front of our minds. Like, this is not necessarily real. Needs to be the first thing we
I have another
think
example.
when we are seeing this stuff.
I had in 2020, if you guys can remember, the beginnings of COVID. This was kind of an interesting experiment that I accidentally participated in. Do you recall when, before COVID was in the United States, it was in Italy? Remember, it was taking over Italy. It was everywhere. People were dying in the streets, and we're being told, it was scary. And this is before we really knew what the heck COVID was. And
well, people were dying in the streets in China was the video we were seeing of that.
Yes, but I started paying attention when it was happening in Italy. Like, I started
I understand,
really
but
watching.
there weren't in it. We
didn't see any video. No. We didn't see any
there
video.
The videos in Italy were of people in the hospital bays, like someone fell over.
I'm not even talking about the videos. I'm just talking about the reports.
Yes.
Of Italy is succumbing to this, the percentage of patients, like we're getting numbers. I don't even remember seeing any visuals, nothing sticking out in my head. The whole thing, it occurred to me, what if that's not happening in Italy? How would I know? And so this is the weirdest thing that has ever happened. This beginning of 2020, before COVID has hit the United States, I put on Facebook, do I know anyone in Italy right now? And I got a couple of comments of like, my sister's, whatever is there. My friend is a nurse in Italy right now, whatever. And so I would say, can you tag them? I just want to ask what their experience is. Like, I was trying to independently verify how bad is it in Italy? Like, really? And two things happened. One, I did have a couple of people that were willing to talk to me directly, like private message, that these are strangers to me, but just people that referred me to people who actually are living in Italy. Not one of those strangers was able to tell me that they knew anyone who had COVID, or that they had seen anybody die, or that the hospitals were overrun. But of course, their reason for not knowing or seeing is because they were on lockdown. They're not allowed to leave their apartment. So of course they wouldn't have gone to the hospital. Why would they go to the hospital? Valid. Absolutely. Why would you go to the hospital if you thought everybody was dying? But I couldn't get anybody there to validate what was happening by any sort of firsthand, right? They had just simply been told to lock down and stay in their apartments and blah, 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 blah in Italy, okay? Then the second thing that happened is I started to be villainized as I can't believe, like on Facebook, on my post, people in the comments were like, are you suggesting that this isn't happening at all, that people are not dying? I mean, we know how bad this went. We know how bad this got.
This is back to when on like ABC News, CNN, Fox News, there was like the death counter and the case counter. Remember all that?
This is so early on. We're talking about January, February of 2020. This is not
it would be
yet
February, but
prevalent in the United States. It was when it was prevalent in Italy. So,
but we were already watching. Everyone was watching the tickers in the other countries because they were building up for the introduction to the extremely
mayhem, fear,
skeptical American mind.
So one, I could not independently verify that anything at all was happening in Italy by people who were in Italy. They were being told they were reiterating to me. Now, hold on. They were reiterating to me what I was also being told. They were telling me, no, this is what's happening. Hold on. You can add it when I'm done.
Go ahead.
They were telling me the exact same headlines that I also had access to. So I'm like, but with your own eyes, have you seen? Do you personally know a best friend or whatever that's like sick or, I'm just trying to understand how bad it is. They couldn't personally verify any personal experience, even being in Italy. Okay, what do you want to say?
No, this is important to note, and it may be important in the next thing that happens, is that it wasn't just that they couldn't verify another person that was sick. They would reiterate, well, all the trains are shut down across the entire country. Well, that is not a direct, that's something a system that is trying to pull the wool over your eyes can do.
Easily.
And while it is a big deal to you, like, whoa, the trains are shut down all over the country, that's never happened. That is not proof
of a
pandemic, right? And then they say, well, we're all on lockdown across the entire country. Again, that is very real that is occurring. Yes, the lockdown is occurring, but all across the country, and that is unprecedented. But that is not proof of a pandemic. And that was the things, and that's the same things that happened in the United States. It happened everywhere, where like people were actually, they get you to make a decision based on things that are real to you.
But not proof.
We can't fly, we have to wear a mask, none of those things are actually evidential, but well, the schools are shut down. We're staying at home. That's all unprecedented. I know that's crazy. That's incredible. What part of it?
Well, and then they would say, the news says that there's this many patients at the hospital. I have heard that. Absolutely. Do you have a nurse friend? Like, do you have anybody that's working at the hospital that knows? But again, the more I asked these sorts of questions my intent was to literally discover what the extent was. Okay. My intent at this point, my intent now today is different. My intent then was not to poke holes in this person's belief system. That's not what I was meaning to do, but that is what I was doing on accident. I was making them feel like they didn't have the right information, that they were reacting to fake news, essentially. And again, in the comments of my own post, I started to be attacked all over the place by not Italians, by people in America that were like, I can't believe you would even question whether or not these people are dying. People are dying. Grandma is dying. We heard it, right? It was such a fascinating thing. And I remember asking my mom around the same time, like, Mom, if you were told, she lives in California, if you were told that New York was nuked and you were shown images on the news that New York was nuked, how would you even think there's a possibility that didn't happen? Or would you have any way of figuring out, like, how would you try to figure out if that was real outside of what you were seeing on the news, And she literally was like, and this isn't, I'm not picking on my mom, this is everybody would have the same response. She literally thought, I wouldn't think that for a second. I wouldn't even think to try to independently
Try to look up a live cam.
validate.
There's got
that
to be
was true or
some
not.
like hawk with a nest on a windowsill of a skyscraper in New
Being
York
surveilled.
live cams that we could look.
But you know what
at.
I mean? I'm like, how often do we just absolutely accept what's put in front of us? And again, it's only going to get worse. We're only going to see more and more of that manipulation. This just happened with BBC with the whole cut of Trump's speech. Y'all remember that? Where they took a piece of his speech and a piece of his speech. He did say those things. They were 52 minutes apart in the speech, but they spliced it together and made it look absolutely like one clip, and they pushed that out, and it made it sound like he was saying, we're going to go to the Capitol, we're going to fight, I'm going to be with you, we're not going to give up, blah blah blah. And now it's of course found out.
I also feel like we need to
completely manipulated, but that's not even AI manipulation. That is a human that spliced that video.
Editing.
That's just propaganda.
I almost think we need to just finish out this COVID line since we opened that can, because there might, I mean,
we didn't even talk about the shooting of
I want to bring back that, like, you know, we've found that like even some of our audience.
I just need you guys to know that the point where like, let's go talk about the Guardsmen that got shot.
That was our topic.
That was our topic. We haven't gotten there yet.
Well,
this is our.
We did talk about that, but
I don't think we did. We talked about the AI manipulation of the Afghan national.
Oh, we haven't even gotten to the background of the
why
Afghan
did this
national.
happen? Who is this guy?
We'll get there.
Finish your thought with COVID.
With COVID, because there might be some, you know, if you're 20 years old and listening to this, you were 15 when COVID like started. I mean, you know, we have to
maybe you don't even know that COVID wasn't scary.
I don't know, but either way, we know that grandmas died during COVID.
Yeah, thank you.
But for those who may not have caught this one, the manipulation.
Intended. I see what you did there.
That was good. The manipulation and evil that occurred in that was diabolical, and eventually they had to produce deaths, right?
Oh yeah.
Like their deaths had to actually occur.
Yeah.
And yes, there was some susceptibility, no doubt, some comorbidities, you know, some factors where you are going to have a harder time with COVID. Mm-hmm. COVID was
the same as you have a harder time with the flu or pneumonia or anything.
There was a coronavirus.
Absolutely.
Like I just want you to know, Wendy and I don't think that there was nothing,
no.
But there was a coronavirus. But it's important to understand that, remember all the money that you got as a hospital system
if people died.
If you had COVID patients, if they died, etc. In order to get that money, you had to follow the CDC, the Center for Disease Control's protocol on treating a COVID patient. Mm-hmm. So there was only one protocol in the mainstream hospital system.
It was poison and ventilators.
Well, it was remdesivir,
poison,
which shuts down your kidneys, backs up fluid in you, therefore causing a pneumonia, fluid in your lungs, therefore
requires a ventilator.
And again, if you're already, you know, say you already have COPD, say you're already a cancer patient,
diabetes,
so you're already old,
one.
say you're already diabetic. Like if your body's already kind of just getting by every day, and you add, you know, shutting down of your kidneys
Absolutely.
and then you go on the ventilator, and like the ventilator is like, it became a big deal. Remember, we had to find ventilators everywhere. We didn't have enough.
Everybody was going on the ventilator.
Everyone's going on ventilators left and right. Like that used to be like a critical, like intensive care unit life support thing that only the worst patients who had to be on them, and the chances of them recovering,
very low.
Not good. Like if you were on a ventilator, that's not, and I'm not talking about COVID, I'm talking about if you're in a hospital on a ventilator, something very traumatic probably happened to you, or a disease is got the best of you.
This became protocol.
And it became protocol to fundamentally shut healthy patients,
I can't even talk about
down shut their kidneys down, back fluid up into their lungs,
block the advocates out of the room. Don't let anybody see what they're doing.
Block their family members. I mean, you guys, it was a diabolical.
Evil.
And while I don't want you to think I have any ill will towards doctors and nurses, but the system got co-opted by again, we're going to come back to the deep state, the intelligence agencies,
the enemy of our souls.
enemy of our souls. that manipulated the system, manipulated the masses
And
to
time.
get a result. And what?
Time.
And manipulated time. And that kind of comes, we'll bring it back to that Afghan national, because again, what we're finding out about that Afghan national that shot the 2 guardsmen is they had
just a random guy.
They had a very well documented history with a CIA Zero unit out of Kandahar.
What's a Zero unit?
It's basically outside of the Department of Defense.
Okay.
Full-on intelligence agency unit.
Okay.
Meaning, now you're still getting your probably working with your tier 1 type operators, like guys who have left the Navy SEALs, who have left Delta Force, who have left the Special Forces to work for the CIA's Special Forces or Special Operations. And that's actually not a term. The CIA doesn't have special operations, but they have operators that conduct their own clandestine activities that require the same skill sets that Special Forces guys have, that Navy SEALs have, that those guys have. So this was a Afghan national that was working in the intelligence realm that would do nighttime raids, go out and kidnap targets, take out targets. They would assassinate people, all this stuff. I mean, it's the dirty work that happens when, you start a war. Now, this guy was trained by the United States, and this is important to remember, because I don't want to say I have, that I feel bad for him, but let's give a little picture of that situation. So when the United States occupies Afghanistan, and you got the Taliban and Al-Qaeda and all, the Pakistani fighters that are all there. Hey, yeah, Americans are here. Let's come kill them. This is a great spot to do it. And the Americans are, I don't know what we were up to. We were spreading democracy, or whatever. And
do-gooding.
The Afghan nationals that worked for the Americans were in the minority. And a lot of those people, first off, the majority of Afghanis were probably I just wish there wasn't a war going on in my country. I just want my kids to not get blown up by a roadside bomb, or, like normal human beings. They just probably were this is really terrible that my kids have to grow up in this. But some of them were against America. Some of them out of necessity or hope for a better future, believing that the Americans were going to bring a better future, worked for the Americans. But it was incredibly dangerous to work for the Americans, because your family didn't get to live on base. And meanwhile, the Taliban owns everything outside of base. So you go to base and work, and you go do all this dirty work for the Americans. Your wife and children are out there exposed. If they get word that that you're on that side, they'll kill them. We all know this. We all know the stories. And so this guy ruined his entire relationship
with his country,
with his neighbors, kind of, and basically went and kidnapped them and assassinated them on behalf of the American government and the American people. And then one day, Joe Biden says, we're up and out of here, and pulls up the tent stakes and is bailing out. And this guy, who is burned every bridge he had in Afghanistan in order to help America, is now completely vulnerable. Now, he's not the only one. Right. This is what I'm getting at. He is but an avatar of many thousands of Afghan nationals that, whether they hate America or love America now, I don't know, but they got burned by us when we left them. Now, some of them, Joe Biden gave a hasty,
hop on the plane, grab the wheel. We saw the video.
Hang off the wheel of a C-17, and it'll work out. Now, that was definitely not right. That was definitely not right. But there had to be somewhere else we could have dropped them. You know what I mean? But basically, I think it's important to note. This is another example of how did that Afghan national get to a street corner in Washington, D.C. to shoot our National Guardsmen in the head? You know how we got there? Because of the American deep state, the American intelligence agencies that allowed 9/11 to happen, that invaded a country that had little or nothing to do with it,
Disrupted this man's life.
that created a war, that created a billion unintended consequences, and that this guy ends up with a skill set, with no job, with a nation that won't keep him but kill him,
and one that doesn't want him here,
with another one that doesn't want him here, and then we just let him be. Then we just walk him in. And whether or not there's something more sinister, whether he still had a handler, you're probably, if you're in the conspiracy world, you're probably hearing that maybe this was like one of the beginnings of the false flag terror cell operations that are going to start popping up everywhere. Flag? A false flag is when we intentionally attack ourselves to manipulate the population into believing like, XYZ.
September 11th.
September 11th was... We didn't
attack ourselves, but we allowed for
September 11th was definitively a false flag operation.
So you don't have to be the catalyst of attacking yourself.
No, in fact, the best way to do it would be to find someone else to do it, right? I mean, that'd be the best way to not get tracked back to yourself. But either way, whether or not it's a false flag and this guy still works for the CIA or whatever is irrelevant. My point is
back to our fault.
The intelligence agencies of our own government create mess after mess after mess after mess. And that, just so you know, that means they're doing their job. That's what they're for. Chaos and destruction so that money can be made restoring order. I'm telling you,
enemy.
There's always got to be an enemy. There's always got to be a chaos to go quell and Western man to restore order.
Yeah.
The problem is Western man is really good at creating order out of chaos. But our fault is
we have to create the chaos.
Is we've gotten to a point where evil has realized that Western man will come create order out of any chaos. And we need to start discerning and saying, you know what? No, that's not our chaos. We're going to stay right here. And even better would be to cut the head off the snake that is out there baiting us in with creating chaos for Western man to go restore to order. Cut the head off that snake. We have to see this stuff for what it is. And unfortunately, what happened to those guardsmen is another result. It's not even Joe Biden's fault. I mean, it is Joe Biden's fault, but before it was Joe Biden's fault, it was the clandestine deep state government's fault.
It was Bush's fault.
Always leads back to that. And
two sides of the same eagle.
Let's keep following the fault lines till we get to the root. And the root is the deep state, the military industrial complex, the intelligence agencies are out of control. Literal definition of out of control.
Yep. So that's what happened in DC, probably. Good talk. I think we really, I don't know what I'll title this episode. We really covered the gamut.
I thought that one was like pretty
true to our methodology.
I don't know, we'll see how it
true to our methodology.
We'll see what comes of that. But
subscribe, share it if it's helpful, rate the podcast if you're willing and able. Make sure you know we're over on YouTube as well. And thanks. Thanks for joining us on the Modern Watchman podcast.
Remember, truth isn't just something we believe, it's something we live out every day.
Stay alert, stay discerning, and don't lose sight of the hope we have in Christ.
Until next time,
be watchmen.